Every great legacy begins with a single, often uncomfortable act of courage. Risk is the seed that must be planted to grow anything that stands the test of time. When we look at history, the individuals whose names echo through generations are not those who played it safe. They are the ones who dared to step beyond the boundaries of what was known, predictable, and secure. Think about the farmer who plants a seed. That act of planting is in itself a risk. The farmer doesn't know what the weather will bring, whether pests will invade, or whether the soil will yield as expected. But the seed must still be planted. Without that initial act of faith in the unseen, there is no harvest. The same principle applies to life. Risk is the planting of the seed, legacy is the harvest. What many fail to realize is that legacy isn't just about what you leave behind, it's about what you live now. It's the impact you make, the battles you fight, and the mountains you climb that others will remember. But none of those moments come without risk. Risk is the bridge between the idea and impact. Without risk, your dreams remain a figment of your imagination, never materializing into something tangible that can influence the world around you. Consider those who have transformed society, created innovations, or redefined the boundaries of possibility. Each one of them had to take a risk that felt impossible at the time. Rosa Parks risked her safety and freedom to stand against injustice. Entrepreneurs like Elon Musk risked their reputations, resources, and even their sanity to chase visions others couldn't see. Artists, scientists, and pioneers across disciplines all face the same fork in the road: stay in comfort or risk everything for the sake of something greater. But risk doesn't just grow your legacy, it grows you. It stretches your capacity, sharpens your resilience, and refines your character. When you take a risk, you're stepping into a process that shapes you into the kind of person capable of carrying the weight of legacy. The process may involve failure, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but each of those experiences becomes part of your story. Risk also forces you to confront your fears. Fear will always try to stand between you and your legacy. It whispers the what-ifs in your ear, magnifying the potential for loss. But fear is not the enemy, it's the indicator. It shows you where the boundaries of your comfort zone are, and legacy always lies on the other side of those boundaries. When you think about the word legacy, it evokes a sense of permanence, something enduring. But permanence is never born from stagnation. It is the result of movement, action, and sometimes even leaps of faith that others thought were foolish. Legacy demands that you risk not only your comfort, but also your pride. It requires vulnerability, a willingness to be misunderstood, and the strength to keep moving forward, even when the outcome is unclear. Risk is the currency you must spend to purchase the future. It's the proof of your belief in what could be. When you risk something valuable, you're declaring that what you're pursuing is worth more than what you're leaving behind. And that's the foundation of legacy: investing in something greater than yourself, something that will outlast you. Every story that captures the heart, every narrative that resonates deeply with the soul is born from a challenge. The adversity, the struggle, the moments where the odds seemed insurmountable, these are the crucibles where the most compelling stories are forged. Without challenges, there is no depth, no triumph, and no transformation. Challenges are the raw material, the unpolished stone that, through pressure and perseverance, becomes a diamond. Think about the stories that inspire us most. They rarely begin with comfort and ease. Instead, they start in the trenches of difficulty, where the protagonist faces obstacles that demand everything they have and more. These challenges may come in the form of external circumstances, a loss, a betrayal, an unexpected detour, or they may arise internally in the form of self-doubt, fear, or insecurity. Whatever their nature, challenges serve as the testing ground where greatness is revealed and narratives worth telling are born. Instead of the underdog, the one who is counted out before the race even begins, their story becomes unforgettable, not because they had an easy path, but because they overcame the impossible. It's the struggle that makes the triumph meaningful. A victory without resistance is forgettable, but a triumph that comes after a fierce battle is ancient in history. The same is true in our lives. The moments of greatest difficulty often become the chapters of our lives that define us, not because of the pain we endured, but because of the resilience we displayed. Challenges are more than just obstacles, they are opportunities in disguise. They force us to grow, to innovate, and to dig deeper than we thought possible. Without challenges, we remain stagnant, never stretching beyond what we already know or believe we can do. The stories born from challenges aren't just about the external victories, they're about the internal transformation. It's in the struggle that we discover our strength, our faith, and our purpose. Imagine the climber who reaches the summit of a towering mountain. The view from the top is breathtaking, but it's the climb, the scraped knees, the fatigue, the moments of doubt that makes the view worthwhile. If the summit were easily accessible, it would lose its significance. In the same way, our lives are enriched by the struggles we face and overcome. They give meaning to our achievements and depth to our stories. Challenges also connect us to others. A story of triumph over adversity resonates because it reflects the universal human experience. Everyone faces challenges, and when we share our stories, we remind others that they are not alone. Our struggles and how we navigate them become a source of inspiration and hope for those who are still in the midst of their battles. The best storytellers are not those who have perfect lives, but those who endured challenges and emerged with wisdom, compassion, and the courage to share their journey. Furthermore, challenges refine our vision and clarify our purpose. In the midst of difficulty, we are often forced to strip away distractions and focus on what truly matters. Challenges have a way of exposing what we value most and what we are willing to fight for. They sharpen our priorities and strengthen our resolve. The story that emerges from such clarity is one of determination and faith, a narrative that has the power to inspire and uplift others. Challenges also teach us about humility and dependence. They remind us that we are not in control of everything, and that sometimes we must lean on others or trust in a higher power to navigate the storm. This dependence is not a weakness, it's a testament to the interconnectedness of humanity and the strength that comes from community and faith. When these lessons are woven into the fabric of our stories, they resonate deeply because they speak to truths we all recognize but sometimes forget. When faced with challenges, it's tempting to wish them away, to long for an easier path. But the stories that endure, the ones that inspire and transform, are never born from ease. They are born in the fire of trials, shaped by the winds of adversity and polished by the perseverance of those who refuse to give up. Challenges are not the end of the story, they are the beginning, the place where the narrative takes shape, and the point at which potential is turned into purpose. Faith is not passive, it is dynamic, alive, and powerful. It is not merely a state of belief, but a call to movement. Faith, when it is real and deeply rooted, demands action. It is more than thoughts, more than words. It is the driving force that compels us to step out of our comfort zones, take risks, and pursue the purpose for which we were created. Without action, faith remains an unfulfilled potential, a dream deferred, a vision unrealized. Faith begins in the unseen, in the realm of hope and conviction. It starts with the belief that there is something greater ahead, something worth striving for, even if it cannot yet be touched or fully understood. But belief alone is not enough. Faith that remains in the mind or heart without being expressed through action is incomplete. True faith demands that we take what we believe and translate it into movement, trusting that the steps we take will lead us to the promises we hold in our hearts. Think about the great stories of faith throughout history. They are not stories of people who merely believed, they are stories of people who acted on their belief. Noah built an ark before a single drop of rain fell. Abraham left his homeland without knowing where he was going. David ran toward Goliath with nothing but a sling and a stone. These are not just stories of belief, they are stories of action, of faith that moved mountains because it was willing to move first. Faith demands action because it challenges us to trust in what we cannot see. It requires us to step into the unknown, to take the leap even when the ground beneath us feels uncertain. This kind of faith is not easy. It stretches us, pushes us, sometimes terrifies us. But it is also the kind of faith that transforms lives. It is the faith that turns impossibilities into realities, dreams into destinies, and ordinary people into extraordinary forces for good. Action rooted in faith is not blind or reckless, it is purposeful and intentional. It is not about leaping without thought, but about leaping with trust. But faith doesn't require that we know every step of the journey. It requires that we take the first step, believing that the rest will be revealed in time. It's about putting one foot in front of the other, even when the path ahead is unclear, trusting that the one who gave the vision will also provide the provision. Faith demands action because it is the antidote to fear. Fear freezes us in place, convincing us that the risks are too great or the obstacles too big. But faith calls us forward. It reminds us that what we fear cannot compare to the possibilities that await on the other side of obedience. Every time we act in faith, we weaken the hold of fear and strengthen the resolve of our spirit. When faith is active, it becomes contagious. It inspires others to step out of their own comfort zones and to believe in what they thought was impossible. One person's act of faith can ignite a chain reaction, encouraging others to take their own steps toward purpose and destiny. This is why action is such a critical component of faith. It not only transforms the individual, but also has the power to transform communities, societies, and even generations. Faith demands action because it aligns us with the principles of creation and growth. Seeds don't grow because we hope they will. They grow because we plant them, water them, and nurture them. In the same way, our faith must be planted and cultivated through action. Every act of faith is like planting a seed in the soil of possibility, trusting that in due time, it will bear fruit. Faith also tests our willingness to surrender control. When we act in faith, we are often stepping into situations where the outcome is uncertain. This is uncomfortable, even frightening, but it is also where faith becomes real. It is in these moments of uncertainty that we learn to rely on something greater than ourselves, to trust that the steps we take in faith will lead us to places we could never reach on our own. Faith demands action because it is the essence of partnership with a higher power. It's not about sitting back and waiting for something to happen. It's about stepping forward and co-laboring with God to bring about His purposes. This partnership requires our participation, our willingness to act, and our trust that as we move, He moves with us. Ultimately, faith is a verb. It is not static or stationary, it is alive, active, and ever-reaching. It pulls us out of complacency and into purpose, calling us to take steps that we might otherwise never take, and to believe for outcomes that we might otherwise never see. Faith demands action, because without it, faith is just a concept, but with action, faith becomes the force that changes everything. In the end, faith is not just about what you believe, it's about what you do with that belief. It's about taking bold steps, even when the path ahead is unclear, trusting that every act of faith moves you closer to the purpose you were created for. Faith demands action, because without action, dreams remain dormant and potential stays untapped. So don't let fear or uncertainty hold you back. Step forward, move with purpose, and trust that as you act in faith, the doors will open, the way will be made, and the impossible will become possible. The legacy of faith is written not in words, but in deeds. Make yours a legacy worth remembering.